I'm reading several books at the moment. I wanted to share one with you because we're going to talk about it just a little bit. I think I might try to do a talk on a regular basis from this book. It's called On Tyranny, 20 Lessons from the 20th Century from Timothy Snyder. It's a great book. It really is. It's very, very short chapters, but it's 20 short lessons on tyranny, which is also 20 short lessons on freedom, if you think about it. And as I was reading the introduction, something occurred to me. And it was the church's place when it comes to tyranny. So, this week I tweeted or retweeted something about Kirk Cameron, the actor Kirk Cameron. He's doing he's doing a children's show now. He's producing and starring in a children's show, and in that children's show, he's reading good stories, morally good stories, or stories that he considers morally good. It's like I think he's trying to teach good Christian stories and moralities to children. And one of the things he said, though, when he's being interviewed about it, and I'm still kind of confused about it, but I did get a couple of answers that helped me. He said, we're teaching against the evil of socialism. And now I know he's doing this from a Christian perspective, and so my brain, I wonder, okay, well, why is it that Christians are so worried about socialism? Like, what is it about socialism that has Christians panicked and that gets us all riled up? What is it about socialism or communism or Marxism that gets us all weirded out, gets us all defensive, makes us afraid? Like, is it the idea that the people who do the work should share in the fruits of the profit, right? Is it that the people who do the work should receive more pay, more of the benefits? Is that really a problem? And I never had anybody really tell me an economic reason why people were upset with why Christians get upset with socialism or communism or Marxism. I never had an economic discussion, but one person did respond. It's because we're afraid that a socialist government will take away our right to worship, that they'll oppress Christianity. Okay, and I can understand that because we have seen in the past when socialists or communists or Marxist governments have been put in place that there's a tyranny behind it, right? It's not necessarily that it's not the economy that we see that is problematic. It's that the forces that put those new rules in place do it with a certain level of authoritarianism. And as I was reading this book on tyranny, it struck me for that exact same reason. That's why we really should be opposed to tyranny, to authoritarianism, to a dictatorship. It's why Christians should be taking this really, really seriously. Because we not only because we don't want anybody to infringe on our rights to worship, but because we don't want anybody's rights to be infringed upon, period. See, Jesus was never about tyranny. He was never about authoritarianism. He was never about taking control. Jesus was about freedom. I'm leaving it to you. He never forced us to believe in him. I'm going to leave that to you. You can choose. But if you choose, there's some real benefits to this. And if you don't choose, well, there's a cost to this. But I'm leaving it to you to choose. Jesus, when power was offered to him, he shunned it. Right? When the devil came and tempted him with power, he went, "Ooh, no thanks." Or he actually said, "Get away from me." No, I won't take it. I won't do it. Later on, we find out in his ministry that the people are enamored with him. They love him. And they come and it says they try to make him their king. And he gets out of there. Like he leaves Dodge. He escapes. He does not want to have anything to do with worldly power, because that's just not what he's about. Even though he could have enacted everything he wanted to enact, he could have brought about the moral world that maybe he really wanted. He could have brought about a religious world that perhaps he wanted. He could have brought about a world where everybody confesses their faith in God, if that's what he really wanted. He could have done everything he wanted to do by seizing power. That was not his thing. We've talked about this on numerous occasions. His thing was about changing our hearts so that we would choose to become something more. We would choose to bring about that change. Because forced change never lasts. Change must be chosen, change must be nurtured, and change must be maintained if it's going to last. Forcing change, well, it breeds contempt. It breeds rebellion. Forced change, a forced way of life, breeds rebellion. As I was reading the book, and I thought, another thing that Christians often do is we often look out into the world and we say, "Oh yeah, do you see those people? They're doing it wrong." Right? Those people, they're off their rocker. Those people, they're gonna fall. They're gonna fail. They're gonna mess up. Whatever the case might be, we have a tendency of looking out. So when we see a book like this book on tyranny, my first instinct as I read it is I'm going to look for the tyranny out there. Who is the tyrant? Who's the next tyrant? Who's the authoritarian wannabe? Who's the dictator in waiting? Who is it? Who is it out there that's going to take my freedom? Is it the socialists that's going to take my freedom? Is it the Democrats that are going to take my freedom? Is it the Republicans that are going to take my freedom? Is it the conservatives or the liberals that are going to come and try to take my freedom? Is it the Marxist horde out there just waiting for their opportunity to come and take my freedom? Who is it that's going to come and try to pry my freedoms from my cold, dead hand? And then I asked, well, what if it's me? Right? What if it's me? And see, that's the book. Well, I haven't gotten into it very far. I'm reading like a chapter a day or something. But as I thought about that, I thought, okay, we can be on our guard for all these tyrants, and that's how we fight them. Right? That's how we fight tyranny, is be on our guard for all the tyrant wannabes out there, all the dictators hiding in the bushes, getting ready to pounce, all the authoritarians waiting behind the corner, getting ready to jump out and seize my rights. We could do that. And there's probably a cause for that, and there's probably a good justification for that. But for the church, for Christians, my suggestion's a lot simpler. My suggestion is ask yourself if you are the tyrant. Ask yourself if our organization, ask yourself if our church, if our faith, if our denominations, if our religion is looking to seize power. Are we setting ourselves up to take on that tyrant role? Are we the authoritarian lurking behind the corner, getting ready to jump out and take away people's rights? Obviously, for their best. It's for their good. It's the best thing for them, after all. If they just listen to us, if they just do what we say, if they just follow our rules, even though they might not like it, well, it's the right thing. It's the good thing. Every authoritarian, every tyrant starts off because, they think they have the solutions to the problems that the world is facing. Never ends up that way, but usually they start off with really good reasons. I can fix it. I want to fix it. I love my people. I love my country. I love my culture. I love my community, and I want to fix it. I want to give them everything that they need to follow my ways, because if they do that, this whole thing will be. But it always falls apart. It always turns into a one-person narcissistic show. Because ultimately, tyranny is about the fear of that one person being projected out into the world, I think. We as Christians need to be very clear. We need to be very clear about our intentions. We need to be very clear about our actions, understanding our actions. We need to be very aware that we must never try to take power. We must shun the offer of power when it's given to us. Say no. Hell no. Run away. Power is not ours to yield. It's not a tool that we need in our belt. It'll weigh us down. It'll get in the way. It'll keep us from doing the things that we're really supposed to be doing. The church, we must be introspective in this situation. And rather than just looking for the tyrant out there on the prowl, we have to be looking in the mirror, asking ourselves, is there a possibility that we will become the next tyrant? For all the best reasons. But it's still not our place. It's not the place of the church. That's not how we lead. It's not how we change hearts. Amen.